So here's a question that drop a comment below and tell me your thoughts. What amount of travel is the right travel for you? So how much travel in the rear, how much travel in the front do you need for your riding style? And tell me why. I'm interested to know. All right, YouTube. Really hope you can hear me. This is totally unexpected weather. So today's video is gonna be a little bit less of a trail video, more of a discussion video. As many of you guys know, I ride right now a 2019 Canyon Strive CF 8.0. I like the bike. As I mentioned, I'm not going to go back on any words of my initial thoughts of it. I've put quite a bit of miles on the bike now. When I say quite a bit, maybe 40 or 50. So, take that with a grain of salt for sure. But nonetheless, it's enough to get a really good feeling on the bike. I've owned tons of different bikes. To list them would be completely asinine. But over the last couple of years, one of the things that I like to do is I really just like to try out new bikes, and I'll find a bike and see how I like it. So I've owned brands such as Trek, Specialized, Evil, Yeti, Giant, Scott. Kind of the big ones. I'm missing Pivot and Ibis, and I've heard a lot of really good things about Ibis. So it's kind of on the short list, but anyways, enough bikes to really know what I like, and it's made me a little bit of a bike snob, I'll be honest, but either way, it's fun. So the question that I want to pose today is, how much travel is actually necessary? Right now, it feels like there's kind of a blurry line between XC trail and enduro bikes. A couple of years ago, and not even that long, maybe 2 years ago, I felt like, XC bikes were reserved for the, 120 millimeters of travel and less. Trail bikes were between that 120 to 140, and then enduro bikes were kind of the 160, 170. The 150 mil, now of course I'm talking, front suspension here, front fork length. The 150 was kind of that hybrid, and I think a lot of bike companies wanted to make kind of the quiver killer bike. What's interesting now, and I think the bike that really kind of changed my thought on what an XC bike was versus a trail versus an enduro, was actually my Evil Following. That has 120 mil of rear suspension travel, and I had paired that with a 140 Fox Factory 34 up front. So it comes stock with a 130, and I changed it to be a 140. That bike in particular, although the numbers were, you could say a shorter travel trail bike, you could easily turn that thing into an XC rig. Weighed in on 27 pounds without pedals, so about 28 and a half, not 28, with the pedals that I ride. They're pretty chunky. And that was the shortest travel bike I've ever owned, but that bike, in comparison, felt very, very similar. Now this was the Following MB, by the way, 2018. It felt very, very similar to my Stump Jumper, which has, I believe, about 135, don't quote me on that, and then 150 up front. And it had 20 millimeters less travel. After riding my Canyon Strive, I think that it is an awesome bike. I think this bike is perfect for the person who wants to do shorter climbs, but wants to have a lot of fun on the downhill. Now, the shapeshifter, yes, it changes geometry, and it does make the climbing position a little bit better, but you have a 160 millimeter fork up front, and it's a big bike. I think this one weighs, I want to say right around 30 and a half, I believe. So I've converted it to tubeless, put on a different bar. You could definitely save some weight by putting on a different stem here. So anyways, you know, it's a big bike. I'm a really light guy. I'm 130 pounds, maybe 133 with my riding equipment. So I'm a super light guy. So, you know, a lot of people, they kind of joke around and they say, well, if you want a lighter bike, go lose some weight. I'm not that kind of guy. I feel the effects of all the little things on a bike that make it what it is. I feel the longer travel or the shorter travel. I feel the extra 2 or 3 pounds when I'm climbing. So it's just interesting. So anyways, the discussion that I wanted to have was how much travel is too much travel. Now, preferences, everybody has their own preferences, so I don't mean to say that this is law or this is the rule. This is just my opinion. I think for me, and I ride all sorts of different trails. So there's a really awesome flow trail called Blue Thunder. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. I'll link a URL link tagged right here, found above in the video. It's a flow trail. It doesn't have massive jumps, but it's got some pretty big ones, enough that, you know, I was scared a couple of times that I've ridden it, and have since gotten used to it. So I ride that. There's a trail, a very famous trail in Utah, Big Cottonwood Canyon, called Crest. I ride that kind of stuff where, you know, there's one specific hill called Puke Hill, and the reason it's called that is because it's a long, steep fire road climb that really just sucks. I've also ridden Moab, which, as you guys may know, I've ridden the whole enchilada. It's very chunky, very rough terrain. There's lots of technical stuff on there, slick rock, you know, high mountain ranges, all sorts of different stuff. And what's really interesting about it is I've kind of had this debate in my head about what kind of bike I need, because I don't want to have 2 bikes. I don't have the money for 2 bikes. And I kind of just wanted one bike to do it all. And so, you know, I had a Yeti SB55, which I had lowered the front suspension to 150. So I had 140 in the rear, 150 up front. And I honestly just could not get along with the geometry of the bike. I didn't like it. So anyways, you know, I sold that, and I ended up getting a 2019 Trek Slash 9.9. And that bike felt way too big. And at first I thought, okay, it's a 19.5-inch frame. So, you know, that's a bigger frame size that I'm used to riding. I usually ride the 18.5. I had a Slash 9.9 in 2016. Love that bike. So I thought, okay, well, maybe it's just that the bike was too big. So I ended up selling that. Like I mentioned, I found this one, which is also size large, has the same travel numbers. It is a 150 in the rear, 160 up front. But I thought, okay, the Trek climbed nice, but maybe the shapeshifter will do its job a little better in terms of climbing. Since then, I think I've come to the conclusion that it's just too much travel for me. It's way too much. And that's interesting to me because I have been known to always push people to go with a little bit more travel, because that's just kind of the way that I'm used to riding bikes. The more travel, the more plush, the easier the ride. So anyways, I've been thinking about this bike a lot. I love the components on this bike. I think they're awesome, but I think it's too much. And over the last week, I've been doing a ton of research on bikes, looking at, you know, Evil Following again, looking at the Ibis Ripley, the Ritmo, the Yeti SB130, the new Stump Jumper, Genius 900 tuned. Shorter travel, like kind of travel ranges all over the gamut if you really look at it, right? And to be quite honest with you, I'm just super conflicted. For me, I think the perfect travel, again, my opinion here, for my riding style is 130 millimeters of travel in the back with a little bit of a steeper seat tube angle. It'd be nice to get a little bit slacker front end because I do prefer down to up. And about 150 millimeters in the front. So with that in mind, in the comment section, what bikes are out there that have that kind of a setup? I've been looking at the Trek Fuel EX. Really interested in the Yeti SB130. But I just want to get a feeling for what you guys think and what you guys ride. I'd really like a bike that, you know, is comfortable to climb on, and easier to climb on than a bike like this with 150 in the rear, 160 out back or in front. But I really don't want to compromise on going down. Now, I would say I'm a decently technical rider, but I would not say that I am pro level. I'd say I'm pretty average, and I need a bike that's a little bit forgiving because I am going to make mistakes going down, and I'm going to need a bike that enables me to get a little bit rowdy on occasion, and that pushes me at the same time to be technical in my riding style. So anyways, long-winded, kind of uphill conversation with myself, but I really want to get some interaction from some of my viewers and just get your thoughts and opinions on it. I'm a stickler. I want to stick with 29er, so I don't really want to go to a 27.5. But in the comment section, drop me a comment and let me know. All right, guys. So had a really interesting riding day today. The weather didn't actually end up raining, so that was nice. Good for the GoPro footage. Hopefully the wind wasn't too bad in this video. You know, whole purpose of this video is drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys think about the comments that I had on the way up. And yeah, I'm looking to switch up bikes and just kind of exploring what's out there. I know I just got this thing and it seems weird, but this is kind of what I do, so it's quite normal for me. Anyways, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think, and until next time, ride safe and ride happy. Yeet!